Hello, good day, viewers. This is Nana Ashasi once again from DNA 360, where we bring you DNA testing, counseling, and analysis. Today, we have our special client who would like to share his story with us. So, before we start, I need to let you know there will be some sensitive topics. So, as you listen, there are also some legal aspect of it. So we are going to hide the identity of our clients. Thank you for your understanding. Right. So, sir, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm also very well.
Wonderful.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit about your relationship and how you came to believe that the child is yours?
Sure. We met on an online platform, and we started dating shortly after for a few months. And then I think after, very shortly, she just disappeared. I didn't hear from her, didn't see her for about 4 months. And then 4 months later, she didn't message me. She sent me a voice note telling me that there's a pregnancy. So that was where everything changed for me and her.
Okay. All right. So from the beginning, I would say when he told you you have no option or choice than to just go by what she said.
Yes.
And so during that period of conception, 9 months, you took care of the pregnancy.
Precisely. Yes.
Okay. So I quite remember it was beginning of last month when I had a chat from you concerning DNA. What led you to take that bold decision?
I think from the beginning I had my suspicions because friends, siblings, family, any female I know that's ever been pregnant or thinks they're pregnant, I mean, they're telling their significant other right away that, hey, I'm puking or I'm,
All the signs.
all the signs, but they don't wait months and months to tell the man that I think there's a child. So that was my first suspicion that there could be foul play.
Okay, so and then we went through the process. We took the samples.
Yes.
I remember coming here to take the samples. I went to the mom, I took the samples.
Yes.
And eventually the test result came and it was negative.
Yes.
Fortunately or unfortunately. How did you feel?
I was relieved. I was happy to know that my suspicions were correct. And for the next 5-6 months of pregnancy and childbirth, I was just gathering evidence to, just make very concrete my case why I think the child may not be mine. I asked her several times, are you sure there was nobody else? She says, yes. She says, no, there's nobody else. One time I was even joking with her.
Okay.
And I said, oh, I saw something on TikTok. And it was a lady who says, you're the father, but he was not. And she was like, hey, like very surprised, like, wow, that lady is very terrible to say that.
Okay.
And I did it on purpose to see her reaction. And everything, she passed every time, but I was not fooled. And then we just kind of went on with our relationship. And I just wasn't comfortable with how things were going. And it led me to believe that I need to do a test. So I called you, and fortunately you're able to do a test with me and the mother and son. I looked at the boy and he does not look like me. That was another part of my suspicion. And that made me say I need to really call you and get this test done because the child does not look like me.
Right. That is some journey. How has it affected your psychological and then emotional state so far?
I was I think I was obviously shocked. I was angry. I was hurt. But it wasn't to any kind of extreme where there's trauma, where I need to get counseling and I need to talk about my feelings. And the reason why I say that is because while she was pregnant and even after the baby, there was a detachment. I was prepared to detach myself.
Okay.
So I was never fully, like with her saying that, okay, are you okay? Because I just didn't trust her words and what was going on.
Yeah.
But I got to a point where I realized that there's something really wrong. And even some of her family members were kind of like saying, that's your photocopy. I was like, and I think they were trying to propagate, me accepting the child, and giving the baby, all kinds of like account names, and just to kind of almost help me adopt and accept the child without any kind of testing. So they actually wanted me not to do any kind of testing,
Okay.
So very disturbing. But to add to this answer here, I think the reason why it didn't affect me so much is because I did it very early.
Yes.
I know there's men that have done it, 10, 14, 18 years later, and that would be psychologically jarring. So that's why I'm more okay about it.
Wow. Really sorry to hear your side of this.
Yeah.
And you made mention you sought for some few counseling and support here. Is it official one or friends?
Oh no, I mean I've talked to my brothers about it, and I think that's all what I really needed was just to kind of talk it out. But it hasn't been something where I'm laying in bed thinking. It hasn't happened. I'm not angry with the lady. I'm really not angry. I've let it go. So I don't see it as a case of forgiveness and let's talk about it and reconcile. I just feel sorry for her because, and the baby, because I spent a lot of money on this situation. But I just feel bad for the lady and why she did it. But I think I'm also a bit upset that she chose me.
Okay.
Because if there's two men, or three perhaps, she looked at the one that said, I think, which one can actually support us the most? I think that one over there.
So how's the value to you in your life?
Yeah, and she came to me thinking that's the guy that can take care of this baby, so let's give it to this guy. And she did some things, while she was pregnant, according to her doctor, that she thought, what, this will kind of like solidify everything. And that was very ignorant of her, and also very deceptive. So I'm not sure if I should mention anything about sex here.
No.
No? Okay. Should I or no?
You can.
Okay. So apparently she says her doctor told her she should be having sex for the baby's sake while she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. But the doctor says I should also ejaculate in her for the baby's health. And I think, in my mind, she thought if I ejaculate, it will somehow change the course of the DNA of the baby. And I thought, that's not how it works. But for somehow, that's how she thinks it works. And here we are. I'm not the father.
Wow. So from what you are saying, if there are two or probably more, you and some other guy or guys, could it be, do you think it's a mistake from her side or is a calculated decision from all the conversation you've had with her?
So, like I mentioned earlier, for 4 months I didn't see her. So in my mind, we were broken up. Yeah. That's how I took it. Because some girls will do a thing called ghosting. Mm-hmm. So I thought she ghosted me, and I was like, okay, then it's over, right? So I think it was calculated. I think she looked at the other guy and thought, no, maybe he doesn't have the resources or the time to take care of me and my baby. And, very, very sweet girl, very, very humble, but deceptive. And I just thought she'd be a great mother and everything. But I do think there was some calculation. I do.
Okay. So are you taking, what are some legal steps you are taking, if any?
Sure. So I've actually, gotten some legal counsel to essentially, draft a letter, prepare to do a lawsuit, go to court, and actually ask for payment of damages that I've actually incurred for the pregnancy and also post-birth as well. Because I even got her a home as well. I was prepared to get her a car, like just take care of the family, right? That's just, because the worst thing I want to see is, I don't like seeing women who the father abandoned them for whatever reason. I don't like that look. So I don't want to be that guy. I want to make sure I take care of them very, very well. But she was thinking, I think that guy is the best to take care of our situation. So, I think it was just very deceptive. But I've gone and gotten some legal counsel to actually have a sit down with her and try to come to a good understanding on the way forward. Because for me, I'm done with the situation. I'm done with it. So I'm not trying to make it go extra and years and years. No, that's not my style.
All right. So even though I would say this is a paternity fraud,
yes.
Do you think paternity fraud should carry any legal penalties?
I think it should, because obviously it's deception, right? Deception is based on a lie. So if I lie to a police officer about something, they could say, it's like if you call the police for a crime and they come and they find out there was no crime, they'll say, we can actually arrest you for a false report. Okay. If a woman says I was raped, but they find out later on she wasn't raped, right? You're also lying and you're perjuring yourself in the court of law. So there's a bunch of that. So I think there should be some legal consequences, especially this is very popular in other parts of the world, and men may not find out that they are not the father after decades of being a father and loving and spending money. And meanwhile, she's like, oh, that's your son. Today's his birthday. We'll have a celebration. And so I find when ladies lie, it's far reaching. The impact is far greater than when a man can lie. Ladies can say, I was raped, and you were not raped. Ladies can say, it's your son or daughter, and it's not. Men might say, I didn't cheat on you. That's, or they might have a child with somebody else, but that's as high as a man can really lie to a woman. So I think this needs to carry some legal penalties. And I think paternity testing should be mandatory everywhere.
Yeah. So putting it that way, paternity test should be mandatory. There are a couple of, per my experience so far, which I've been doing, there are lots of guys who have approached me on one-on-one basis, and you could see they have doubts, but they are a bit hesitant to go for the test. What do you think will be the reason, even though they are clear doubts?
Right. I think the reasons could be the family, the strength of the woman's family, maybe the family may not want to agree. Maybe Abu Champagne might say, this is not happening, or the mother might be really strong. This is not happening. Additionally, usually resistance is coming from the female side, where they're thinking, okay, I don't think it's his, but I can't let him know. We've gone too far. There's shame, there's money, psychological, there's reputation, all right, emotional as well. this could be a real, impacting scenario. So she's not willing to put herself in that position because her reputation is at stake. The man, on the other hand, needs to be bold enough and say, listen, if we don't do any testing, I can't be responsible because it's not confirmed, right? If there's somebody else, please be open, be honest, let me know so I can, figure out what to do for myself.
Yeah. So it looks like even to avoid all these later consequences, would you say it would be best for it to be done from the onset, like you said, mandatory? So it's part of the whole maternal, paternal process.
It should be like, almost like, it's kind of like before you get your, I think it should be in law to the point where before you get your birth certificate, it should be done before that so that they know this is absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, because when I saw my test, it said negative or 0.0, something like that. And I said, you know what, can we do one for the mother? Just in case. And I was very calm and quiet about it, just in case this is my son. And I've now gone and told her, I think there's somebody else now making noise. And I find out later on, it is my son. Now I've really damaged the relationship. So I just remained very calm and said, you know what, I want to get this done just to make sure that our future is, there's no issues in the future. And we got the test done. And she was very cooperative. Yeah, very cooperative. But later on found out, there was another person.
And I think in your case like this, let's assume you just decide not to do. Definitely to pop up, especially if you are taking the kid outside, because you are going to apply as a biological child.
Right.
Legal test will be required.
Required, yeah.
And in that instance, if it happened, how would it jeopardize, or would it jeopardize the whole process? Because
you can't travel to anywhere with, if you want to go somewhere else with the kid and the lady and say, this is my son, they're going to ask for proof. So at that point, imagine the kid's now 10. Now I would need counseling, like professional counseling. I would need anger management. I would need to be put in a jail because I'd be so angry. Because the amount of, it's not even the money, it's the emotional and psychological deception. Now you look at women and you say, wow, I can't trust any of you. You might trust your mother and your sister, that's about it. But for someone to devise and deceive you at this level, it makes you start questioning, can you trust anybody that's human? Because like this is, and I think the issue too, is one last thing is that society has not made this to be a taboo. It's not, if it's not your kid, they might just say, oh, it's not, it's okay, it's all love, we're all God's children. But I think society's gotten to a point where it's not like women are not discouraged to even try this. They're actually, it's kind of like, well, especially in other parts of the world where, there's like a thing called sexual liberation. So she could probably have sex with 5 guys in 1 week. Mm-hmm. Now we got a problem. Now we got a problem. So and it just happens to be whichever one was able to get to the egg first. So this is the kind of society we're living in. And I don't think we had that situation with me and her, but obviously there's somebody else.
Yeah, so it looks like the earlier the better to save the situation.
100%, 100%.
Fortunately or unfortunately for you, you've not gotten to that stage where there will be a dire consequence in terms of emotional and psychological.
Right.
And so if you have the opportunity to go back in time, will you still do the test?
100%. I would have actually done the test while the baby was in the womb. I would have.
Okay.
And when I learned a number of years ago that that's possible.
Yeah.
I would have just done it that way.
That's prenatal.
Yeah, I would have done it. I really would have. I did a test probably maybe when the baby was a month old. Mm-hmm. and I thought that was a good time, you know, but to do it when the kid is like 1 or 2 or 3 years old, that's too much. So I'm glad we did it now.
All right. So how has this experience shaped your view on trust, relationship, fatherhood?
I think it's caused me to be doubtful of women in general. The fact that issue is potentially there has caused me to say that I would need to every single time have a paternal test. You know, even if she and I were locked away on an island together, I would still want a paternal test. It sounds funny, but I feel like, you know, I'm not trying to bash women, but men and women can lie, but this kind of lie can really mess up a man's trust for future relationships. And I think men today are waking up to this kind of fraud and the impact. So whether you're a wealthy man, you know, a middle class man or a poor man or a very, you know, ultra wealthy, when this happens to you, I can only imagine the psychological and emotional impact of that person. And the worst part is a lot of these ladies just kind of like, well, I'll just go back to my life. I've never heard of a case of a woman going to jail or being charged or being arrested or being fined. I have never, maybe there's somebody out there, but I've never heard that. So when someone can commit this kind of crime and there are zero consequences
To deter others.
to deter, that's what I'm saying. There's no deterrence. And I think that right there is very scary, but not scary for women. You know, for her, it's a win-win situation. And the man, it's a win-lose, depending on how you look at it.
Wow. So viewers, you've listened to our client's special story. Thank you for watching. Sir, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, sir.
We've had many tests and they are unwilling to share.
Oh, really?
Thank you for sharing with us.
Sure. You're very welcome.
All right, thank you.